Hey there, it's Tom Corsinals, and right now I want to talk to you about creating a best-selling title for your book. Now, to do that, I want to tell you a tale, a real story about a man named Emanuel Haldeman Julius. And Emanuel was an author and a book publisher in the early 1900s, and using some really interesting research into book titles, he was able to sell more than 200 million books in just about 20 years as a publisher. And what he did is he would take his books to the hospital if they weren't selling well. And in the hospital, what he would do is he would change the title of the book that was not selling to a new title in hopes that it would sell better. And he did this with hundreds and hundreds of book titles. And so now he has just this massive amount of data of book titles that did not sell well and book titles that did sell well with the same exact book. An example of this, he had a book called The Art of Controversy, and he changed it to How to Argue Logically. Now, The Art of Controversy sold 0 copies for an entire year, whereas How to Argue Logically sold over 30,000 copies the next year after it changed its title. The King Enjoys Himself sold about 8,000 copies, and The Lustful King Enjoys Himself sold 38,000 copies. The Mystery of the Iron Mask sold 11,000 copies, and The Mystery of the Man in the Iron Mask sold over 30,000 copies. So what can we learn from Emanuel Haldeman Julius and his little case studies with changing the book titles? Well, the first thing you'll notice is that, look at the first title, The Art of Controversy was changed to How to Argue Logically. So, I don't know if you're like me, but I love to learn. I love reading books. But if you tell me about a book called The Art of Controversy, I really don't care. I don't care about that book at all. I have no emotional reaction to that title, really, other than maybe disgust or disdain or apathy, really. How to Argue Logically, however, I'm actually attracted to that title. I'm attracted to the title because it's a how to argue logically. Yeah, I would like to be able to argue logically. I mean, it's not something I'm really thrilled about learning, but at least I understand what the book is about. So that's one of the main principles that Emanuel Haldeman Julius taught and learned from these case studies, is that your book title has to describe really clearly and communicate really clearly what your book is about and what it does for your reader. Now, this is different for nonfiction versus fiction, obviously. There are examples of both on the screen right here. So for a nonfiction book, you definitely want to be very clearly communicate how your book solves the reader's problem or what your reader will learn from the book. So How to Argue Logically is a really clear title. It's not complex. It's not poetic. It's not amazing, but it sells. That's what's important. The important part about picking a book title is a title that's going to sell your book. I don't care if it's poetic. I don't care if it's the most creative or unique title in the whole world. I really don't care about any of that. All I care about is, does my book title sell my book? That's the whole point of marketing, and that's the whole point of choosing a book title. Now, if you want to choose a book title, just to make yourself look good or for posterity, that's totally fine. It's up to you. It's whatever you want to do. But from a pure marketing standpoint, from a business standpoint of how do you sell more books, I want you to choose, for that purpose, a book title that clearly communicates what it does for the reader. So How to Argue Logically, much better than The Art of Controversy, and the numbers show that. The next one is The King Enjoys Himself. So The Lustful King Enjoys Himself. So this is fiction now. And the difference here is just changed one word and added in the word lustful king, rather than the king enjoys himself. It's the lustful king enjoys himself. So, this is just goes to prove that sex sells. Over 100 years ago it was true. For all of human history, as far as we know, sex does sell. Anything that even hints at sex. I mean, lustful doesn't even necessarily mean sex, but it just hints at that aspect of human nature. As humans, we're sexual beings, and we are just programmed. We're wired. Our brains are wired to respond to sexual imagery, sexual words, anything like that. So if you have a image on your book cover of a woman, well, you're going to probably sell more copies with the image of a very beautiful woman versus the image of a generally unattractive woman. Now, that's not something sexist I'm saying at all. Just from a pure business standpoint, look at magazines, look at billboards, look at TV commercials. Attractive women sell products, and they'll sell your book if you put an attractive woman on your cover. I'm not saying you should put an attractive woman on every cover of every book ever. I don't even have an attractive woman on any of my book covers that I've written myself. But just understand that if you can use that element to sell more books, then that's great. The next one is The Mystery of the Iron Mask. sold 11,000 copies, and The Mystery of the Man in the Iron Mask sold 30,000. Now the difference here, which is really a fine point, but I think it's really important, is that The Mystery of the Iron Mask is about a mask. The Mystery of the Man in the Iron Mask is about a man. And it's very different. People don't care about objects. People don't care about things. What people care about are characters. They care about people. You can identify with the man in the iron mask. You wonder, who is this man in the iron mask? But you don't really care about some random mask. It's not the mask that you care about. It's the man that you care about. Does that make sense? Now, the other thing that's interesting about this book title is that there's a lot of mystery behind it. And mystery is a really good way to create a book title that's going to sell and attract readers and attract buyers for your books. So think about, like, the book title Think and Grow Rich is a great book. I really love this book. I highly recommend it if you haven't read it. But it's one of the best-selling books of all time. And one of the reasons is because the title is so good, Think and Grow Rich. It's really clear. Covers the first point. It's a very clear book title because you understand that the book is about making money or wealth or getting rich. But it's also really interesting because the title is Think and Grow Rich, which is not something that, the first thing you think of when you think of getting rich is not thinking. You don't think about thinking you're rich. You think like work and get rich, or work really hard and get rich, or start a business and get rich, or drill oil and get rich, something like that. So there is a little bit of mystery to it because once you read the title, you think, well, how will I get rich? What thinking and growing rich? Well, how can thinking make me rich? What do I have to do to get rich? And all these questions come to mind when you hear the book title. And those questions are part of the mystery of the title. So the only way for the reader can answer those questions in their mind that they get from reading the book title is to read the entire book. That's what you want your title to do. You want it to be clear, clearly communicate what it does, what the book is about, and then you want it to have some kind of mystery to it. So you want your title to create questions in the reader's mind that must be answered and can only be answered by buying and reading your book. That's how you sell more books, and that's how you create a great book title. So let's give you some more examples here. So this is Think and Grow Rich. As we talked about before, it's been a best-selling book for many, many years since it came out, almost 100 years now. And it's a really great title and a really great book. Next we have Tung Fu. So Tung Fu, it's just a hilarious title. Sam Horn is the author. She's an incredible marketer, and she's a really brilliant woman. And the Tung Fu, the title, is just easy to remember. It's funny. It's humorous, but it also does communicate what the book is about, because the book is about getting along with anyone, anytime, anywhere. It's about communication, and that title kind of illustrates that point, that it's like a metaphor between communicating with your words and kung fu. So Tung Fu, it's a great title, creative title. Ever since the first time I heard it, I could never get that title out of my mind. I can't forget it. I will never forget Tung Fu. It just sticks in your mind. And if you can create a title like that that will stick in the person's mind and communicate what the book is about, then it will help you sell more books. But if you just come up with a poetic title like Tung Fu and your book is about cooking popcorn, well, that doesn't really make sense, and it's not really going to help sell your book and position your book the way you want it. But if you can get both, then that's just perfect. Now next year I'm going to look at the Kindle bestsellers list, so the best-selling books in the Kindle store right now, and of the top 100 paid books on Kindle, probably 90 of them will be fiction books. So I'm just going to read some titles off, and you can get a feeling for what are some titles that sell well. Now this doesn't mean that these books, the title is the reason why they're selling so well. Some of them are traditionally published, some of them are self-published. Some of these people are great marketers, some of these people have huge author platforms. There's all different reasons why books sell really well, but you can be pretty sure that if a book is selling at the top 100 books in the world right now on Kindle, then they probably understand a little bit at least about how to create a book title. So the first one is called Lover at Last, Monday Mornings, 6 Years, Falling Into You, Wait for You, Three Sisters, The Host, Surrender Your Love, The Storyteller, Alex Cross Run, Just One Night, Gone Girl, Burning Man, Just One Night, Part 2, Twisted, The Boy from Reactor 4, Twice Tempted, A Week in Winter, Light in the Shadows, Break Me Slowly. So here you can see there's a lot of kind of sexual imagery on these covers. Several of them have sexual imagery. There's a lot of characters. Alex Cross Run. The Storyteller, it's about a person. Surrender Your Love, again, love, sex is coming up quite often. The Host. So you can see that all these titles either clearly illustrate or clearly describe either a person, a character, or something to do with love, or some emotional thing that grabs the reader. Now, again, these are all fiction books, so for nonfiction, it's not really going to be the same thing, but you can understand, just look at the titles and browse the best-selling books right now and see what the titles are like and see if you can come up with something similar. I mean, I'm not saying copy, the title of some other book, but understand that there's a reason why these titles are selling so well. There's a reason why authors who sell a lot of books pick book titles like this. So I recommend that you do that as well. Okay, now this is another really cool tool. It's called Lulu Title Score. The link is below. It's lulu.com/title scorer. And here you can pick a title for your book, and then it'll tell you what the chances are of your book being a bestseller. And basically how this software works is Lulu did a study of about 700 best-selling novels, New York Times best-selling novels, and they wanted to see, okay, what are the similarities between the titles of these books. They wanted to see if there's some kind of algorithm, some kind of mathematical equation they could come up with as to why books sell well and why certain titles of books sell well. So what they found is that there's certain things that make book titles sell well. You can read the studies and use this title score to find out, but it's really fascinating. But what they said is that the best-selling book title ever, according to the study and according to the software based on the study, is Sleeping Murder. Sleeping Murder has an 83% chance of being a bestseller, that title. So let's just try here. Let's find one of these. Okay, so let's just look at one of these book titles here. Surrender Your Love. So Surrender Your Love, we'll use that title for the Lulu title scorer. And we'll look at Surrender Your Love. And I guess it's probably figurative. And then you have to choose the grammar type of the book title. So it's a verb and then a pronoun and then a noun. So let's see what we got here. I guess this could either be a grammatically complete phrase, or it could be a noun modified by a verb or place. Let's just go with grammatically complete phrase. And the first word is a verb, and the second word is a preposition or article. So the title includes the name of a person or place. It does not. And then click Analyze My Title. And this has a 44.2% chance of being a best-selling book title. So that's the Lulu title score. It's a really cool thing. I highly recommend you check it out. And you'll see that a lot of the titles on the bestsellers list score very highly in this software. And a lot of the titles that you see on Amazon that really don't sell well at all will score very badly in the software. And there's a reason to it. There's a whole science behind it. But check it out. Use it. If it works for you, great. If it doesn't, that's okay. Okay, now I want to talk to you about the system that I use to come up with best-selling book titles and the one that I recommend for you. So the first thing you have to do is you have to have a notebook. You have to have a journal. You have to carry this around with you all the time. Everywhere you go, you should never be far away from a notebook. If you do not have a notebook, make sure that you have a smartphone or a laptop or an iPad or something with you that you can take notes on in case you do come up with some ideas for book titles while you're traveling. A lot of times in the middle of the night I'll come up with a great book title idea. So always be ready to capture those great ideas for good titles when they come, because you never know when they're going to come. But there are some things that you can do. It's not just like a waiting game. You just wait for the great title to hit you. There are some things you can do actively right now to start creating great book titles. So what I do is I take out my notebook and I sit down in my room for 15 minutes. I close the door, no interruptions, cell phones off, no ringing, no noise, no interruptions whatsoever. And I think for 15 minutes I brainstorm every single possible book title idea I can come up with. So let's say my book is about weight loss, and I'll think about weight loss, how to lose weight, burning fat. And the first couple ideas, yeah, they're generic and they're not very good and they probably even suck. But this is brainstorming. Brainstorming is not about judging. It's not about, that idea is not good enough to write down. You write down every single idea that you come up with. And then once you have after those 15 minutes, you probably have 20 or 50 or even 100 ideas, depending on how quickly you can come up with ideas for your current book title. And then you can look over those ideas and you can mix and match things. You can combine title ideas, and you just become more aware of what makes a good book title and what doesn't. And you don't have to decide overnight. It's not like you brainstorm and then immediately you have the perfect book title. Sometimes it works that way. Sometimes it takes me 2 minutes to come up with the book title. I'm totally happy with it, and it's a great book title. And sometimes it might take me 2 weeks. And that's okay. There's no problem with how long it takes. It doesn't have to be overnight success or an overnight, eureka moment where your title comes out. Sometimes it takes time. But brainstorm the ideas first. Then you can actively do that. And then if you can't choose a great book title after that brainstorming session, then just be aware. Talk with friends, ask friends for ideas, or just think at night about more ideas for your book title. And what I highly recommend is that you also look at the best-selling books on Kindle, best-selling books on Amazon right now, because they'll also give you some ideas for book titles. Look at books in your category. And again, I'm not saying copy other people's book titles, but what I'm saying is just take a look at what book titles are selling well, so that you program your mind to recognize, okay, this is a good title, this is not a good title. It's very important that you understand that this is not something that happens overnight. It's something that you have to train yourself to do. Just as you have to train yourself to become a great writer, you have to train yourself to become a great marketer, you have to train yourself and your brain to recognize a good book title from a not so good book title. And so I hope this has been really helpful to you. And if you want some feedback on your book titles, come and join us on the Facebook group for Kindle publishers. And ask the group. Say, hey, I've got this list of 10 potential book titles. What do you think would be the best one? And you'll get tons of feedback from the group, and that's a great way to kind of brainstorm with the group and get some feedback on your book title. So hope you enjoyed this video, and have a great day and come up with that best-selling book title. Okay, talk to you soon.